The time is precisely 1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Danushka Madhavala and read by Chandima Veerakorn. Headlines. Haritha Dayak Domestic Agricultural Program has commenced. The central bank governor reiterates that it is the responsibility of everyone to use resources sparingly. The government has focused its attention to limit the fuel usage of state institutions. More than 48,000 metric tons of paddy have been purchased during this season. More than 70,000 persons have obtained the booster vaccine dose during the past 3 days. The Education Ministry requests schools not to organize unsafe field trips as 168 students have died of drowning during the past 18 months. Dengue cases increase in the Western Province. Dubai has focused its attention regarding the valuable gemstones found in Sri Lanka to keep on display at their Museum of the Future. UK Prime Minister accuses Russia plans biggest war in Europe since 1945. Local stories in detail. Haritha Dayak Domestic Agricultural Program has commenced. This program has been initiated with the proposal of Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa. Secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture, DCM Bandara, says that this program has been initiated to secure the food security of the country. All districts in the country will be covered through this program. More than 2.2 million families are expected to join this initiative. The support of many ministries will also be obtained in this regard. Around 12,000 plant nurseries have been set up in the country in par with this program. Organic fertilizer will only be used in the program. The ministry aims to start the program throughout the country. Governor of the Central Bank, Ajit Niwad Cabral, says that it is needed to look into the matters of the country with a good understanding. Speaking to the Subharti discussion program of the SLBC this morning, the governor said that all must focus their attention to use the resources sparingly. It is a national responsibility. The price of a barrel of crude oil has increased to $90. If the world is changing, we also must adopt the change and adhere to the new normalcy with tougher changes. The governor said the central bank has made several suggestions to the government in this regard. The government has to reveal the real ground situation to the country. The country has to spend a large sum of money to purchase fuel. This situation will be eased if the tourist arrival increased in the future. Not only Sri Lanka, many other countries in the world are facing severe economic crisis at present. Many European countries are also in a crisis situation. The governor said that many countries which seek the support of the IMF had to undergo many hard economic policy changes. Argentina is one such country. For a question raised by the chairman of the SLBC, veteran journalist Hudson Samarasinghe during the discussion, the governor assured that no tax will be imposed on the EPF and ETF. The government has focused its attention to limit the fuel usage of the state institutions. Secretary of the Ministry of Public Administration, J.J. Ratnasiri, said that the Public Utilities Commission of Sri Lanka has made a request in this regard. The fuel consumption of the government organizations is very high. There is an utter need of control of the use of fuel with the present fuel crisis in the country. It is requested to use modern technology rather than coming to Colombo merely for the meetings. The Secretary says that relevant gazette notification will be issued soon. The Paddy Marketing Board says the government has purchased more than 48,000 metric tons of paddy from the farmers with the guaranteed price. Chairman of the Paddy Marketing Board, Neil D. Alvis, says that when comparing the other harvesting seasons, the paddy purchasing process is much successful this time. Higher price will also be paid for the farmers for a kilogram of paddy. The Director General of Health Services has confirmed 20 new coronavirus-related fatalities for February 18th. moving the death toll in the country from the virus to 15,969. This includes 12 males and 8 females, according to the Department of Government Information. 2 of the deceased were in the age group of 30 to 59 years. Another one was aged below 30 years, and the remaining 17 victims were aged 60 years and above. The Health Ministry says that more than 70,000 persons have obtained the booster vaccine dose during the past 3 days. It is very important to have the booster dose to get protection from the coronavirus variants. The government requests the public to get the booster dose without delay. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with local stories, Dubai has focused its attention regarding the valuable gemstones found in Sri Lanka to keep on display at their Museum of the Future. Dubai's Museum of the Future is set to open to the public on Tuesday, February 22, 2022. In a Twitter message, Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President and ruler of Dubai, said that it is the most beautiful building on earth. Located next to the Emirates Towers, Museum of the Future is a truly epic structure made out of a fiberglass and stainless steel frame. And it's already been recognized by National Geographic as one of the world's 14 most beautiful museums. Dubai's Museum of Future will be dedicated to education and discovery. We are expecting interactive exhibits that help us learn about the future and our impact on it, he said. Co-Cabinet spokesman, Plantation Minister Dr. Ramesh Patirana said that there are certain different ideas among some coalition parties of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna-led political alliance, and that is quite natural. However, there is no split within the government. The minister, in an interview with a local newspaper, said that there are about 11 constituent parties in the government. However, one should not forget the fact that the SLBC alone has 125 seats in parliament. We have secured 2/3 majority in parliament with the support of some other political parties, and their support is vital throughout the tenure of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. To end the local news, the headlines again. Harita Dayak Domestic Agricultural Program has commenced. The central bank governor reiterates that it is the responsibility of everyone to use resources sparingly. The government has focused its attention to limit the fuel usage of state institutions. More than 48,000 metric tons of paddy have been purchased during this season. More than 70,000 persons have obtained the booster vaccine dose during the past 3 days. The Education Ministry requests schools not to organize unsafe field trips as 168 students have died of drowning during the past 18 months. Dengue cases increase in Western Province. That ends the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on with the main news story, consultant community physician Dr. Anuja Veerasinghe said 50% of the dengue patients this year had been reported from the Western Province and 48% from the Colombo district. She told a press briefing at the Health Promotion Bureau in Colombo recently that people with fever should seek medical advice within 24 hours, and it is recommended to get the NS1 test done as soon as possible because accurate test results can be obtained when this test is done no sooner a person gets fever. She said that a large number of dengue patients had been reported from Jaffna, Puttalam, Gaul, Trincomalee, Ratnapura and Batticaloa. The type of dengue virus spreading this year is different from the previous years, and this is one reason for the increasing number of dengue patients island-wide. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
This is Watchlight.
Moving on to Watchlight, the Education Ministry has told heads of government schools countrywide not to organize unsafe field trips, educational tours and pilgrimages for students and teachers as 168 children and youngsters have died of drowning while bathing and swimming in rivers, village tanks and other deep waterways during the past 18 months. That ends Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Headlines of the world news. UK Prime Minister accuses Russia plans biggest war in Europe since 1945. Ukraine President says they will not respond to provocations. Nearly 200 still missing in flood-hit Brazil city of Petropolis. Evidence suggests Russia is planning the biggest war in Europe since 1945, Prime Minister Boris Johnson had said. He told the BBC's Sophie Ratworth in an interview, all the signs are that the plan has already, in some senses, begun. Intelligence suggests Russia intends to launch an invasion that will encircle Ukrainian capital Kyiv, Mr. Johnson said. People need to understand the sheer cost in human life that could entail, he said. The Prime Minister was speaking from Munich, where world leaders are meeting for an annual security conference. The latest estimates by the US government suggest that between 169,000 and 190,000 Russian troops are now stationed along Ukraine's border, both in Russia and neighboring Belarus. But this figure also includes rebels in eastern Ukraine. Ukraine's president has said his nation will not respond to provocations amid a deadly escalation in fighting in rebel Russian-backed eastern territories. But Volodymyr Zelensky told world leaders Ukraine would defend itself against Russian aggression. 2 Ukrainian soldiers were killed on a third day of clashes between Ukraine's military and Russian-backed rebels. US President Joe Biden said he was convinced Russia would invade Ukraine, but Moscow has denied this. Western nations have accused Russia of trying to stage a fake crisis in the eastern regions as a pretext to invade. But speaking to a security conference in Munich, President Zelensky said Ukrainians were not panicking. We want to live our lives. He accused Western leaders of a policy of appeasement towards Moscow and demanded Ukraine be given new security guarantees. President Zelensky traveled to Munich despite being warned by US officials that it was unsafe to leave his country. Bad weather has hampered the search for survivors in Brazilian city of Petropolis 4 days after devastating flash floods and mudslides. Emergency teams had to suspend their work several times on Saturday because of torrential rains. They say there is a little hope of finding anyone alive. Officials say 146 people have died, including at least 27 children and teenagers, while 191 are still missing. More than 900 people are being housed in schools and shelters. On Saturday, workers dug with spades and shovels through the rubble and muck in a dense fog. Teams of volunteers are helping in the efforts. The search is being carried out with hand tools and chainsaws in unstable areas, with teams being helped by 41 sniffer dogs. To end the world news, the headlines again. UK Prime Minister accuses Russia plans biggest war in Europe since 1945. Ukraine President says that they will not respond to provocations. Nearly 200 still missing in flood-hit Brazil city of Petropolis. That ends the world news.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take coal out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Moving on with development news. Allocations have been made by the National Budget Proposals 2022 to implement broad household economic development national programs. One of those programs is identified as the Sahana Malla project. Under this program, 40 low-income families per each Gram Niladhari division will be selected to special criteria and the recommendation of the relevant divisional secretary, and will be issued a digital card to the beneficiary family to buy goods to the value of 2,000 rupees, while opportunity will be given to purchase essential food and other commodities locally manufactured from home shops aimed at the women entrepreneurs. That ends development news.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928. Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Moving on to sports news, it's cricket, soccer and Olympics. In cricket news, the fifth and final T20 international between Sri Lanka and Australia is now being played in Melbourne. The match is being played as a day and night encounter. Australia won the toss and chose to bat first. At the end of 20 overs, Australia were 154 runs for the loss of 6 wickets a short while ago. And in soccer news, Paris Saint-Germain lost in the league for just the second time this season as Nantes profited from a superb opening 45 minutes to upset the leaders. Mauricio Pochettino's side, unbeaten in League One since October, fell behind to smart Randall Kolo Muani finish. Nantes keeper Alban Lafont was inspired all night and made key saves before Quentin Merlin fired in a superb second and Ludovic Blas slammed in a penalty. Neymar struck just after half-time but had a tame penalty saved on the hour. And in Olympics, Great Britain had a golden finish to the 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics with Eve Mohired's women's curlers crushing Japan 10-3 in today's final. Eve drew the British fans watching in the ice cube to their feet when she scored a superb 4 in the 7th end to effectively clinch the title. It emulates the gold won by Rona Hovey's team at Salt Lake City in 2002. Team Great Britain ends the games with 2 medals after Bruce Moat's men won curling silver yesterday. That ends sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
On business news, bullish on the future of green mobility, the Ashok Leyland plans to set up a new manufacturing facility in India country to roll out electric vehicles. The Chennai-based firm has also lined up a 500 crore Indian rupee investment to develop powertrains based on alternative fuels like CNG, hydrogen and electric for its commercial vehicles range. The company has already announced a $200 million investment through its UK-based arm Switch Mobility for electric mobility. The commercial vehicle company aims to expand its electric vehicle portfolio as well as develop new engines to keep in mind the changing market requirements in the domestic as well as international markets. That ends Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
The Colombo Stock Exchange will introduce a measure to facilitate local companies to raise funds in foreign currencies as the nation is facing a forex crisis. Due to the shortage of forex reserves, local importers are struggling to get adequate US dollars as they cannot open letter of credit with local banks. The CSE's new move, which was approved last week by the regulator Securities and Exchange Commission, will allow Sri Lankan companies seeking to fund foreign currency projects to raise capital in offshore currencies by listing at the exchange. That ends economic news.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
The Weather Report.
And finally, we take a look at the weather report. Showers or thundershowers will occur at times in northern, north central, eastern and Uva provinces and in Matale district. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in western and Sabaragamu provinces and in Kandy, Nura Elia, Gaul and Mathura districts during the evening or at night. General public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. That ends the weather report. And to conclude this bulletin of news, the headlines again. Harita Dayak Domestic Agricultural Program has commenced. The central bank governor reiterates that it is the responsibility of everyone to use resources sparingly. The government has focused its attention to limit the fuel usage of state institutions. More than 48,000 metric tons of paddy have been purchased during this season. More than 70,000 persons have obtained the booster vaccine dose during the past 3 days. The Education Ministry requests schools not to organize unsafe field trips as 168 students have died of drowning during the past 18 months. Dengue cases increase in Western Province. Dubai has focused its attention on regarding the valuable gemstones found in Sri Lanka to keep on display at their Museum of the Future. UK Prime Minister accuses Russia plans biggest war in Europe since 1945. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.